Recording. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our STARS program from the Office of Sustainability. I'm Amelia. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator, and I have Scarlett here today, our Zero Waste Coordinator, and she's going to kick off the first session where we will focus on zero waste. So, Scarlett, if you want to go ahead.
All right, thank you for the introduction, Amelia. As Amelia mentioned, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Scarlett. I'm the Zero Waste Coordinator with the Office of Sustainability. I will be kicking off the first session of the STARS program with zero waste. So with that being said, we will, before we begin to talk trash, keep your questions at the end of the presentation. I'm more than happy to answer those. And as most of you may know, a mandatory zero waste training already went out campus-wide. You do have 90 days to complete it. So I apologize if any of this information is repetitive. So with that being said, we'll go into why our campus is going zero waste in the first place. So as a California State University, we have to follow California state laws, right? And when it comes to zero waste doesn't necessarily mean that you're not generating waste at all. It's just implementing practices in your daily lifestyle to not generate waste in the first place. And I'll go into that in my next slide. But as I mentioned, there are laws that we need to follow as a California State University. One of the biggest laws that's passed since recycling is SB 1383. For those of you who are not aware of this law, it's basically just mandating the collection and separation of organics from being thrown into the trash. So meaning food waste can no longer go into the trash bin, and there's a separate receptacle for that. Additionally, and one of the reasons why that mandatory training went out campus-wide to all staff is because it satisfies one of the requirements for SB 1383, and that's for annual mandatory training on zero waste topics. Additionally, by going zero waste, we have had the chance of getting recognized nationally for our sustainable efforts. For example, last year, Dominguez Hills won ASHE Gold nationally. And ASHE stands for the Association of the Advancement in Sustainability and Higher Education. We are the first campus nationally that has ever gone from nothing to gold. So I think that's something that we should be proud of ourselves for. Additionally, and something that I didn't put in the slide, last year, our campus was entered into a national zero waste competition by the National Wildlife Federation. Not only was it our first time entering that national competition, but we won first place. So very proud of that achievement, and that's something that could have not been accomplished without our Toro community. So thank you for that. And when it comes to following a zero waste lifestyle, it's important to follow the zero waste hierarchy. And we've all heard of reduce, reuse, recycle. And the reason why it's in that order is because we want to rethink our choices before we generate that waste in the first place. Reduce when we can, reuse what we have, and recycle and compost when necessary. The responsible disposal is the responsibility of the waste hauler to ensure that they're separating and processing waste properly. For example, taking out any contamination if possible from like compost dumps, or separating and processing recyclables in the appropriate way as well. So I'm going to give some examples of how we can go zero waste starting on campus. And then once I go through these examples, I'll explain how we can go zero waste at home. So with that being said, this is one way that I pack my lunch, or how I implement zero waste into my lifestyle. So here we have two reusable coffee mugs, a water bottle, a reusable container to put your food in, and my reusable cutlery. I do bring these materials to campus every day. I try not to eat here on campus because it can be expensive. And the purpose of packaging your lunch and reusables is you want to make sure that you're bringing those reusables back home and not throwing anything away, rather washing it to reuse again. If you're having an office party or an event, I have examples of like how you can go zero waste in that area. Here to the left, I have single-use items such as single-use cutlery and plates. Reusable options for those would be, purchasing silverware, reusable plates. And then lastly, if reusables are not in the equation or impossible to get, purchasing compostable cutlery and or plates. And notice an important detail here. The pictures on the compostable and recyclable side are made from paper. There are no waxy films on the plates there. And the compostable cutlery isn't labeled, or it doesn't look like that plastic biodegradable material, right? Saying that it's made from plants. I'll go into this further in my presentation, but the reason why we don't want to invest in cutlery or materials that claim to be biodegradable and still look like plastic is because that material takes longer to decompose at a compost facility. So it's actually not accepted nowhere near, hardly anywhere in the state of California. The state just doesn't have the infrastructure to process that material. Because this material is made out of wood or paper, it composts or it breaks down at the same rate as food waste, which is commercially processed in 1 month's time. So that's one of the reasons why you're not seeing those other options in this slide here. Additionally, and because of the CSU single-use plastic policy, we want to eliminate single-use plastic water bottles in the first place. And the options for those for your office party or event would be to purchase the path waters that are available through the campus warehouse, and or going the reusable option and purchasing these aluminum cups. Like if you're going to be serving like sodas or juices other than water, that is another option. Both of these items are reusable, and if you don't want to use this item anymore, it's 100% recyclable because it is made out of aluminum. This is more for like birthday parties or commencement, because I have seen this material present at those events. An alternative to confetti and can be a fun, creative way to make confetti, as alternatively would be to hole punch natural objects like leaves or shrubbery. If that material gets into the environment in any way, it will biodegrade fully. So on campus, for those of you who are not aware, I do run a pop-up thrift upcycle program hosted on the first Tuesdays of the month at the farmers market during the active semester season. We are located on the south walkway between the library and the bookstore. And this is the only time that I accept donations. So donations are only welcome during the pop-up thrift event. If for some reason like you're not on campus on those Tuesdays, I do recommend to take your donations to your local thrift store. This event is open to students, faculty, and staff. It's not just open to students. I've found numerous outfits at these pop-up salons, so it reduces me having to go out and spend money on a nice dress that I found and wear. So just know that option is also open. If you have additional questions on the pop-up thrift, you can reach out to me directly. My contact information will be available at the end of this presentation. a very limited amount of items that we don't accept are undergarments, used undergarments. If you have undergarments that still have the tag on them, I have never been worn before, we do accept them just as long as they're new. Additional ways you can implement these small practices into your lifestyle is utilizing the hydration stations located in every water station across campus. As I mentioned before, the Path Water reusable water bottles can be purchased through the warehouse, and they are $21 per case, making that $1.75 each. Recycling, battery recycling pickups. So there are some departments that have their own battery bucket. If you find that your office or department is one of those high generation offices, please reach out to me directly and I can deliver a battery bucket for you. If that battery bucket needs service, you can simply send me an email or create a work order ticket for that too. I am a DH alumni, so when I was a student intern for the Office of Sustainability, I implemented the Toro Green, or I helped implement the Toro Green, the Toro token. That was through the Toro Green Initiative Fund, excuse me. And this was an effort to help campus dining go zero waste. So rather than purchasing your food that gets served in a container that should be recycled, this Toro token can be purchased at Toro Fresh or at the campus DH Sports Lounge. It is a one-time payment of $5. Once you use that token, or they serve your food in a reusable container, you pay for the food and the container if it's your first time purchasing that container. You have two options from there. You can return the container right after you finish eating. They'll give you a token in exchange. So that way, when you go back to campus dining, you present them the token and they know to serve your food in a reusable container. Or if your office is far from the LSU like mine is, I'm on the first floor of NSM. I get busy and I don't have time to walk over, so I'll get my container, I'll take it home, I'll wash it, and I'll just pack my lunch in it and return it the next day. Additionally, printer cartridge recycling. So toner and inkjet cartridges may be recycled in yellow bins that are located by cardboard stations. These must be placed in the original packaging or in a box. If you're not aware where or anywhere near a cardboard station and don't have access to walk to one, you can also create a work order and I'll be the one picking those up, or you can send me an email directly too. Next, these are examples of how you can go zero waste at home. So because of SB 1383, not only will we have to compost here on campus, but you're gonna also have to do it when you go out to eat and at home. So whether you live in a home or an apartment, know that is coming down the pipeline. It should be coming sometime this year since it is now fully enforced. This is an example of my commercial compost. Notice how I don't have the biodegradable green bags. The reason for that is because when this material goes to a material recovery facility, the bags are opened up anyway, and the food waste is separated from that bag. That bag, whether it's biodegradable or not, is gonna go to the landfill. So don't waste your money in purchasing those fancy green bags. Just use a regular one. It is an ongoing discussion on telling my boyfriend to use paper bags, so that's why you see them in plastic, but the city of LA does accept plastic or paper. Cooked and uncooked foods can be commercially recycled or composted. And you may think like, oh, where am I going to put my food waste? I'm not going to have it sitting in my counter for days before before I have to put my container out. What I do, and as you can see, my container is pretty clean. I freeze my food scraps. I have a designated area in my freezer where I put all of my food scraps. Um, I take my food scraps out the day before service, so I eliminate the issue of having stench inside of my kitchen. It also does not attract any pests. I don't have gnats flying around my kitchen area nor in the outside of my apartment. So freezing your food scraps is going to be one of the best ways to help eliminate that worry of attracting any type of pest. Um, Aside from the commercial compost, I actually have a vermicompost at home too. I live in an apartment and it's not the biggest apartment, right? It's a tight space. But this is one way that you can also recycle your food scraps too. A vermicompost bin is a bin that has coca coir mix along with worms. So my worms are on a vegetarian diet where I feed them a 1-to-1 ratio of like dry plants, paper, pieces of cardboard. I also give them my eggshells, any fruit or veggie scraps, as well as they can eat tortilla, so I give them tortilla every now and then. They like that. I keep the vermicompost moist at all times, and what this vermicompost produces is something called a worm tea. I am also a person who's big in indoor gardening, so my plants love that. So that is one way that you can also recycle your food scraps at home. Both of the commercial compost and the vermicompost produces actual compost. For those of you who've never seen compost, this is what it looks like. It looks just like soil, but it's the precious nutrients that are reintroduced to the environment to grow the food that we eat every day. It's also very important to note that compost is not soil. If you were to plant a plant in compost, you would kill that plant in days. So you're burning the plant. So, something to keep in mind of, if you're going to use compost and introduce that to your garden, you want to use a 1-to-5 ratio when you're mixing that into your soil. As I mentioned, I'm big on indoor plant gardening. These are some ways that I have upcycled some of my food scraps, along with just general things that I find around my household that would have rather been thrown away in the trash, right? So this is my pineapple crown. I bought a pineapple one day and took the leaves off of the bottom of the crown and placed it in water. It grew roots and now it's this big. It's probably not going to produce a pineapple for the next 3 years. But no, this is one way that you can upcycle your food scraps. Additionally, I have an egg carton that I have upcycled here and used as like a plant propagation starter. I also put my eggshells in there to help with keeping the soil and the water from seeping through the carton. Once my plants are mature, and I've done this before, I'll simply cut the section of the plant that I want to put in a pot or in the ground, and it biodegrades. So one way that you can upcycle that material. Additionally, this is a boil bowl that a boil bowl container that I had sitting around in the kitchen that my boyfriend was gonna throw away. This is a string of hearts that I propagated, and I now use it as a full-blown little planter. So little fun activities that you can do around your house. And I think it's important to know what goes where too, right? So anything that we can't recycle or use again, unfortunately goes in the trash. And that's basically your wrappers. Here on campus, we don't accept food soil paper in the compost bin yet. So if you have like a pizza box or napkins, that goes into the trash. The Starbucks cup here, for example, since it's made of paper, one would think that's recyclable because it's made of paper. But if you look closely inside the cup next time, if you purchase one, it is lined with a very thin layer of plastic. which is used to insulate the liquid and keep your drink either, hot or cold. These are examples of materials that should not go into your bin and are actually illegal. So please don't throw any light bulbs, electronics, or hazardous chemical waste into your trash bin or recycling bin. Here on campus, we have ways that we recycle this material. If you're unsure of where something goes, please create a work order. That work order ticket will be sent to the right person, and someone will come by your office to recycle that material properly. In the recycling bin, we want to put clean plastic, clean paper, clean glass, clean plastic material. And I noticed that I'm using the word clean. If, say, for example, you approach a recycling bin and everyone who's been throwing their clean materials in there have put all their hard work into doing that, and then somebody comes and they throw away their Starbucks cup that is full of liquid in there, that person has now contaminated that whole bin, and that entire content would have to be trashed. It's very important that whatever we're putting in this bin is clean. And I mentioned the Starbucks cup. So alternatively, this Starbucks cup that's in the lower right-hand corner of the page is actually recyclable. It's made out of a hard type of plastic, just as long as you're not putting the liquid that comes in it. Feel free to dump that in the nearest plant area or in the grass before putting that clear cup in there. The lid is also recyclable, so you can put the whole cup minus the ice and liquid. That is also acceptable. Organics, so I touched on this before, but here on campus, it's the same type of organics where you can put anything that was considered alive at one point. So basically cooked or uncooked foods, leftover Panda Express, uneaten sandwich from Subway. Pastries are also accepted in this bin along with fried foods. And then fruits and vegetables too. As gross as it sounds, the more rotten the better. So let's be sure to just put food waste in these bins. Again, this is compost that would be introduced to the environment once more. So if you don't want to eat plastic or glass, don't put it in this bin. These are examples of the zero waste stations around campus. So just a note, if you are moving offices or have large amounts of waste, please don't put it to the side of the zero waste station. It doesn't look appealing, nor is it the proper way to dispose of your waste. Please contact Work Control for temporary large receptacles if you are moving offices or your waste doesn't fit into that station. These are additional ways to change your personal footprint. So you want to refuse and reduce and buy less ethical, meaningful, durable items. Choose reusables and say no to single-use plastic. Buy recycled and recyclable items. Don't wish cycle, recycle properly. If you have a question on what goes where, I love those questions. Feel free to call me or send me an email. No question is ever a dumb question when it comes to throwing something away. You want to compost at home and at Dominguez when appropriate, and be an ambassador at work and at home. And if there's anything that you should take away from my presentation, is just saying no to single-use plastic. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and open this up as a discussion now. What is one single-use item that you pledge to phase out of your daily routine? You can go ahead and unmute yourself and we can talk about it. Or if you're shy, just put it into the chat and we can review that there. And then what reusable items will you pledge to bring to campus every day? Does anybody want to take a stab at that? Yes, Kelly.
I bought years ago a little pouch, neoprene pouch actually, that had a spoon, a knife, a fork, and a straw. in it, and I just carry that in my bag every day. And so I just now have to remember to take it to Loker if I don't have my bag, but I use that whenever I need a utensil on campus.
That's awesome. Good job. Anybody else? Cheyenne?
I was just going to reply to her comment and say that sounds like a great gift for anyone who completes the STARS training. Like a nice set with a CSUDH bag around them and everything. Anyways, I was going to make a funny joke that I will give up plastic cups and use recyclable containers as long as I can keep my plastic straws.
No, that's in the single-use plastic policy.
I'm being funny. I'm just really pissed about the stupid banning of plastic straws, but yet they let the plastic cups, which is 3 times as much plastic as the straw. And it's actually a thicker plastic than the straw usually is. So somebody did some backwards planning here. But I bring my, well, you can't really see it, giant water bottle that I usually fill if I don't go up and get a drink. But maybe I will stop buying drinks. Do we have any contract, or can we talk with the food to say if somebody brings their own bottles that they could use that to fill drinks instead of using throwawayable cups?
That is something that I can incorporate in the because I am part of their committee meetings. But I'll go ahead and bring that up to the tour auxiliary partners and suggest that too, because I'm actually actively working with Aramark to phase out all of their single use and implementing reusables. It is a long process, but just know that it's coming down the pipeline.
And the reason I say that is I have multiples of these bottles. I have one that's a DH bottle here.
Mhm.
I could easily use that for sodas if the fountain drinks would be fillable into those. Like I could pay for a drink and use my own mug, and I don't know how they would charge me, but we'd have to talk to them to see if that's something that they would all allow, like Subway, Panda, or even the sports bar or whatever.
No, absolutely. I love that. And yeah, I would also love that too. So I'll be bringing that up into one of the meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly?
I have a thermos, aluminum thermos that I've used for years and years, and I always just go to Subway and buy a drink and then just use it, and they've never had a problem with it. In fact, they usually charge me less as well. Sometimes they'll just charge me $1. Sometimes they'll charge me the price of the drink minus $1. But they've never had an issue with it. There was an issue, I know, at Starbucks during COVID. And I think a lot of places were like, no, we can't do that during COVID. But now that we're kind of back to normal, I think a lot of companies are like, sure, go ahead.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for that. I had no idea that that was also a like something that Subway did, but I can also bring up the fact that like the fees for that are inconsistent. So I'll also bring up, you know, some sort of consistency when it comes to charging for incentivizing and reusing your reusable water bottles and coffee mugs. But yeah, thank you for that. Does anybody have any questions in regards to what I presented today, or any questions on the mandatory training that went out? I'm happy to answer those now too.
I have a question. I know you're working with Aramark. Are you also going to dictate, you know, departments will have parties or colleges will have parties? Are you going to start making guidelines for what they can and can't buy in the future?
Yeah, so I'm actually drafting something on that as well, and I want to present that to procurement. So that can there so that way there's some sort of like streamline on what they can purchase, what they can't. Similarly to CSU buy, I think there's some items that get flagged when you're using your P card. So I would love to implement something like that when it comes to purchasing items for a for like an office party. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And I believe Diane, you had a question?
Yeah, just
Diana?
on, I know that we can bring some hazardous waste to the farmers market.
Yes.
Does that include the light bulbs?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
If you have light bulbs, batteries, even e-waste, bring that over to the farmer's market and I take it to the appropriate barrel for that to get recycled. So if y'all have any of that, even if it's household hazardous waste, you can go ahead and bring it to campus and I can recycle that properly for you.
Yeah, because just like Kelly, she had put in the chat that there in San Pedro they wouldn't take her light bulbs. I
Oh,
had the same thing.
got it. Yeah, we recycle light bulbs on campus too, so bring those down.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then Amelia, I can't see the chat. Were
Uh,
there any questions?
so we have Gerardo who will commit to start compost at home. So that's awesome.
Awesome, great job.
And Sharon is going to phase out bottle. See, my computer is acting up a little bit, sorry. Sharon is going to phase out bottled water and bring in her own bottles of water.
Yay! Great job, Sharon.
And I just wanted to give you guys a little further inspiration of reusable items you can bring. So I'm a huge coffee drinker, but instead of going to Starbucks, I make my own coffee in this little thermos, which is basically like a coffee mug from Starbucks, just that you can just reuse it forever. I'm also a huge juice drinker, so, and I like straws, but I use this thing, which is glass, and it's a metal straw, which
I'll
is,
confirm right now. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna look at the flyer. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that.
sorry, so yes, this resolves the issue for the paper straws. And you can bring this with you when you want to drink soda, or wherever you want to go use, grab some drinks, that's not your own. And for anyone who eats breakfast, either cereals or overnight oats, which I eat, you can just have a little jar and put it in the fridge. And yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little extra inspiration of things you can use.
Awesome.
Thank you, Amelia. That's actually something I hadn't thought of I eat cereal pretty much every morning for breakfast. And there's times when I'm either running late or running early or whatever. And I'm like, how do I deal with that? I could actually quickly pour some milk into it and bring it with me. That's
Yeah,
never thought about that. I was like, how do I transport a bowl of cereal and milk?
exactly. And people usually have jars just laying around in their house anyway. So
Yeah.
I believe this is from an old honey jar that I have. I
Yeah,
just
those are
took
the
away.
masonry canning jars. They're pretty common.
I just took away the label and been keep using it.
I had one question for Scarlett,
Yeah.
based on something you'd said. I didn't hear you say no questions until the end. Sorry. I missed part of what you said earlier, but I am going to purposely throw a electronic keyboard in the trash can to see what happens.
Don't do that, please.
It's my joke to you saying, is there repercussions for me doing such an activity?
So at this time, there's not, I can't track back who threw that away, right? But Republic Services is really good at catching things like that. So whenever there's some sort of hazardous material that gets thrown in the trash, I do get an email about it. Depending on where it's at and on campus, so like say for example, it's thrown away in NSM. I'll ask, what type of material that was, thrown away in there. And I'll reach out to the appropriate department and be like, hey, I received this email from our waste hauler. I'm not pointing any fingers, but this is for example, there was a helium tank that was thrown away in the trash the other day. They recycled it. I don't know why. Somebody threw it away in there on accident. So I sent that over to chemistry and biology, and they were aware of it. They were able to fix it quickly. So I do hear of it. But it is at this time, it's very difficult for me to track like who did it, right? Because we're a huge campus. I can't keep track of everybody.
Well, so the question with that would be, is there repercussions set up on campus? That's what I was trying to get at, is do we need to have some sort of system in place like, hey, Mr. President, I just want you to be aware of, here's the hazardous waste that's being thrown away improperly on our campus, and here's the repercussions for that. You know, for instance, we could set I don't know, I mean, as sustainability, we charge the school. We bill them for non-compliance.
Right.
And
would be
that
the-
that billing process helps fund the sustainability program and training, but then teaches people, hey, if you're not responsible, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really cost anyone because the money is all part of the campus, but it's basically encouraging that sustainable training, finding the funding for you guys from somebody else's budget pocket, and teaches them it's going to hurt if you keep doing this.
Right. I will add that although I pick up like hazardous waste like batteries, as far as like that sort of thing, that would have to go through EHS, and that's something that I can bring up to them as you know, like a proposal to that, because they're the ones who, I just assist with it, right? But they're the ones who overlook that, so that would have to go through them. But I can have that conversation with
But
them.
is that something we want, is sustainability? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if many people realize, but that's why they charge for parking passes. I mean, not really the school, but typically businesses that charge for parking passes is a means to discourage people from driving their own cars. We'll give free parking passes to those who carpool, or we'll give reduced parking passes to those that do, you know, XYZ, you know, drive an energy efficient vehicle or something like that. And that way we encourage the pool of employees to do responsible actions. So there's a financial association with that. And that's why was my question when you were talking about don't throw these away. Well, there's nothing stopping me from doing that.
Right. Yeah.
But there should be.
No, I agree. And that's something that I can look into.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Actually, I have a question. Does the amount of aluminum that we recycle in cans, does that defer the cost of our trash that we're paying the company for?
No, so we do not get any incentives for the amount of aluminum that we recycle. However, our campus is going out to bid because Republic Services contract is up for renewal in June. So their contract expires in June, but that is something that I want to add into the RFP for our campus to get incentivized for the recyclables that we generate. Because that's something that CSUN does with their waste hauler. So yeah, that's something that I am actively looking into.
Okay, I know I see one person in particular often, but I saw somebody else that I didn't recognize last night going through the recycling and stealing all of our aluminum cans and bottles. And so if that's gonna hurt us financially, we gotta figure out some way to stop that.
So Kelly, I'm actually in the process of talking to Yulin and seeing if we can buy locks for the external bins. That is an issue that has been brought up to me by numerous campus officials. So that is something that we are working on right now, because yeah, it also it's not right? Like it's something that we generate, especially once we get our new waste hauler and we hopefully are incentivized by what we recycle. That way it stays inside of the campus community. But yeah, there will be locks going in place very soon.
I will honestly say that there's another side to that as well, that is our community that is taking those and recycling them for money. Personally, I actually had a student one year who spent half of her time on campus digging through the trash cans, getting plastic bottles and cans, and she used that as funding her education.
But the people who
So-
are going through that material right now, Cheyenne, I can tell
Are
you are not
outside, yeah.
students.
Which
Yeah.
I get, but at the same time, are they people that live in the community, or are they people coming from miles away?
So here's the thing with that, it's causing more work for grounds
Okay.
because these people are taking the bags from the zero waste stations. People are throwing,
I didn't know that, so I just,
yeah, no, it's
I'm not
all
trying
right.
to defend it. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
there's two sides. It's like you got to weigh the scales on which is
Yeah.
best.
No, I see that, but it's also to protect our grounds people because it is creating more work for them. Yes, Diana.
So just a comment on the recycling that we used to have locks on the recycle bins for the cans and bottles. I don't know what happened to, I think it was when they upgraded the trash cans,
Yes.
they removed them. But we did at one point have it where it was just
Mhm.
a small circle on the lid where you can put the recyclable and it was locked, and that was actually used for the scholarships. So
Oh, okay.
they were using all those recyclables to donate to the scholarships.
That's
Um,
awesome. I'm gonna make a note of that and see if we can implement something like that again. But yeah, I remember when I was a student that there were locks on the stone bins.
yeah. And so my question actually was on the ink cartridges.
Yes.
I know you said to put them back in the boxes, but a lot of my faculty just give me the thing and then I don't know what they do with the box.
It's
Uh,
okay.
is there any way of getting a bin that's specifically for ink cartridges?
Yeah, so what building or department are you in? Like what building are you in? I can tell you for
College of Education and Liberal Studies.
College of Education.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you guys have some all the time. So they're usually inside the box. That's fine. If they don't have a box, that's okay. It's mainly just to protect us from getting like stained.
mm-hmm.
So it's fine. I end up putting it in another box that I pick up from one of our cardboard stations anyway. So
Well, real quick, I was going to mention with that, are they recycling the boxes? Sometimes they just throw the boxes away. So Diana, what you could actually do is instead of handing them the box, open the box, keep the box yourself, and give them the ream, not the ream, the cartridge. And then when they give you the cartridge back, put it in the box. And usually the box has a shipping label if we don't give it to Scarlett.
Yeah, so majority of the time they're going just to the storage area and grabbing the ink cartridges. So I only find out that they've gotten something when I get the used one.
It's all right. And Cheyenne, just to piggyback off of your comment, it's actually one of the requirements for the company who comes to recycle them for them to be in some sort of box, whether it's in the original or in a makeshift one that I make, also to protect them. But if it can be inside the box, that is preferred, and they actually do recycle them because I went in person one time and I saw a giant recycling bin outside their facility with a bunch of those boxes. So that answers your question.
Oh, I was talking about our faculty.
Yeah.
When
Oh, okay.
Luckily they
they get
do.
the cartridge and then they
Yeah.
throw the box away because they're putting the cartridge in the computer. They don't need the box anymore. But it'd be nice like if instead of keeping the boxes and the cartridges together, you keep the cartridge, you hand it to the person, and then the box is saved. They bring the cartridge back, so you put it in the box and deliver. But she said they're grabbing it without her knowledge. So
Yeah,
doesn't
so
help her.
when I do see an empty box, even in the recycle stations here, I grab them and put them in the mail room. But then somebody takes them and not, and I don't know if it's our custodian who picks it up the box when they see it empty, and I'm like, oh darn.
Probably.
Yeah.
I can communicate that to the custodial manager so that we can ensure that they're not picking those up. So that's fine. And sorry, Sharon, I had misunderstood your question, but no, all good feedback, all good questions. Does anybody else have any last minute questions, thoughts they want to share? We have 15 more minutes.
I have a question about this overall series. This training series, is it going to result in some sort of award, nomination, letter to put in our faculty packets for advancement, etc.?
Yes, so we will send everyone who participate a certificate that you are STARS educated and certified from the Office of Sustainability.
Nice, that-
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Scarlett. I was just gonna say that'll be good for RTP packages for
Mhm.
range elevations and stuff.
Yes.
Additionally, to add to the certificate, I did this last year. I'll put a zero waste kit together as a thank you for attending all 4 sessions. So if you want a zero waste goodie bag, with some sustainability swag, attend all 4 sessions, and you'll be receiving that along with your certificate. All right. Any last minute questions, thoughts, comments? All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. That concludes session 1. I hope you learned something today, and remember, small changes make big impacts. So whether it's, you're starting your journey and phasing out that plastic water bottle, I'm proud of you. So thank you. With that being said, I'll pass it over to Amelia so she can go over the remainder of the sessions for the rest of the month.
Thank you, Scarlett. So for next session, we're going to address consumerism, which kinda is one of the stemming issues that leads us to waste in the first place. And next session is gonna be a little bit more interactive. So I will, whoever who wasn't able to attend in person to this live session, we have recorded this. So if you still want to get the certificate, whoever who signed up to the STARS, you will be able to watch the recording, and I will send little homework assignment follow with next session as well. So if you're not able to attend, you will still be able to participate. And for the third session, we're actually having West Basin a guest speaker coming talking about water conservation. And the finishing session will be at the urban farm, and we will talk about urban farming and how you can farm simple produce at your own home. And you will be able to attend to the farm if you want to. However, we will also conduct it through Zoom. So you have both options for the last session. Do anyone have any questions for the series and the layout? Okay, perfect. Well, thank you all for participating today, and we will see you guys next Thursday. Thank you, guys.